All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Digitech Zeal. This is web development section. We're actually learning how to build a responsive website using a technology called Bootstrap. And like we have established before now, Bootstrap is a framework that uses JavaScript and CSS predefined code to enhance website responsiveness. We did mention what responsiveness is. What does it take a website to be a responsive website? I said when that website is able to contrast or to adjust or fit automatically to different screen sizes, then it is said to say the website is responsive. And that is the kind of website we should develop as web developers. We are to create websites that when somebody opens it with any of their devices, it could be phone, it could be laptop, all the content should still be what? Arranged properly. That is the essence. And in doing that, we have come all the way from understanding Bootstrap grid system, which talk about the layout, how Bootstrap structure its element to enhance that responsiveness. So we talk about grid. We have also been on explaining Bootstrap elements, design elements. What we are doing is that we are taking those elements. Remember that anytime the word element is used, we are talking about those content, those tags that you created with the HTML. So the word element here represents HTML. The word style here represents CSS. So each time I use Bootstrap elements, I'm talking about those HTML tags which we use in developing the content of our website pages. So we have been on understanding these elements because we want to see a situation whereby when we eventually start, using the Bootstrap to put together an entire working website, we'll be able to understand the role of these classes that are assigned to each of these elements. So we have looked at button elements, we have looked at table elements, list elements, though this was not the laptop I used last time. So, but I know we have looked at a couple of what these elements, and we have tried to understand the classes that are attributed to each of these elements. Remember the advice I gave to us some time ago that one of the best way, in fact, what you are actually learning in Bootstrap is not as if you are just coming across this element for the very first time. You are only trying to understand how Bootstrap classes them such that they can be responsive because the classes are like predefined and name attribute attached to this element that gives them access to those pre-written JavaScript or CSS word scripts. So in this session, we have the last element we want to discuss. After this element, we will now go into designing the website, a complete website using Bootstrap. Right. So then my emphasis will not be on explaining the element and their classes. It will just be applying them. Most of them will just be copying them from where we can find them and pasting them and adjusting what we feel like we want to adjust. And then before within a shortest time, you must have completed a responsive website. So In this session, we are focusing on Bootstrap form design, form design, Bootstrap form design. I hope we are still hearing. You can respond through the message section. Now, Bootstrap form design. Now, like I said, it's not as if this is our first time of learning Bootstrap form. We have already form. The only thing here is that we are looking at the version of Bootstrap. If we already know what is form, remember that we are taught during the manual section that form is used to collect users' input. It is a kind of application, web application that helps us to receive information from users. A form is an essential component in website development because it is the same form. It is the same form um, that helps us to, in fact, that leads to the development of a database. Because once your website have a form, it means you need to think of where will the data or input that you are going to collect from the user goes to, and that will now lead to you planning to have a database. So, but how would we define the Bootstrap what form? So, a Bootstrap form is an HTML form styled. That is the keyword. I said is an HTML style. That is the keyword style. It's an HTML form what? HTML uh, HTML form style. So which means we are talking about it has already been designed. That is why the style is what past tense with Bootstrap CSS classes. With Bootstrap CSS classes. All right. So what is the essence? Why is it that it has already been styled? Because so many things have been considered to make it to make it attractive, to make it attractive, comma, responsive, comma, consistent. Remember, these are some of the things we highlighted at the beginning. Let me break it here so that we can understand it. Consistent, comma, and easy to use across easy to use across all devices across all devices. So should in case somebody asks you why are you using Bootstrap to create all these elements, the main reason is that we want to attain attractiveness, responsiveness, consistency, and what for it to what to display properly across all devices, because we did establish before now that Bootstrap has all the media query that makes your website to display properly across all the devices. So instead of writing custom CSS, Bootstrap provides predefined classes that instantly improve the appearance of your form. So why use Bootstrap form? So that you have an understanding why you should prefer using this one as against the custom method where you have to create your CSS yourself. Number one is to have professional appearance, because everything that we are doing with Bootstrap is because we want to achieve user experience. We want to give the users good experience. Then why use Bootstrap form? Number two, it makes it easy to build your website for consistent design, saves development time, better user what experience. So we are going to look at the structure of our form. Then we can now start understanding the classes one after the other. So that will now take us to the form structure. Let's look at, so I'm going to use a basic form structure. So if we declare a form like this as usual, and then we now declare the form element. Remember when we're learning form design manually, I said we have the form and then we have each element. Whatever you design inside the form tag that I've just opened, forms is what element. So let's assume that we have a label, which we already know. Label is just to give a kind of description to the input boxes, just to a kind of tell the user, this is the kind of information you are to provide here. That is what we achieve with the label. So you can see that at the moment, I have not started adding Bootstrap classes. So I just want to create it and then we'll look at the appearance. Then you will now see as soon as we start adding the Bootstrap classes, you will see how the form will automatically what? Transform. So let's say the form label is, since we are not emphasizing on sending it to the back end, so let's just say this one is for full name. Let's say this is for full name. And then we'll create an input. An input is an inline tag which provides the text box for them to want to input those information you are requesting from them. So here also, we'd like to just add a placeholder. Placeholder, which you already know. A placeholder is an attribute that allows you to give an example how you expect them to enter the information. So I can say enter. I just want to like guide them by telling them enter your full name, for example. Enter your full name. So if you look at this form, let's go to the front end and check it out without Bootstrap. Uh, without Bootstrap. So you can see it here. I think what I'm going to do so that we can see, so that we can focus on only what we have. Let me clear the whole of this so that it will not distract people that will come across this for the first time that do not know how we got here. So let's check now. Good. Okay, at least with this we can see it. So you can see this is the form without the Bootstrap communication. So the next thing we are going to look at now is I think let me add more inputs. Let me make it like up to 3 different inputs. Right? So remember, if I want this to be to display in a block element, all we need is to wrap them in div. So I believe you understand that. We wrap both the label and the input in a div. So, but if I declare all of them straight away, except you use something like like break to separate it, otherwise everything will display in line. So let's look at it. Let's say I have another label as well. I have another label for this label is for middle name. Just want us to have a simple form structure to display all these classes we want to explain. Then input also input. Let me also assign placeholder. So let's say enter your middle, enter your middle name, Let me create one more label or input rather. So this should be for, let's say, date. It should be for date. So let's say input type will be date so that we can get the calendar automatically. So let me just add the submit button so that we can have a complete. So I'll change it to submit. And then I will also give it a value. What do I want it to show? So let's say what it should display what? Register. So let's go to the front end to check what we have created. Okay, so you can see it's a straight line form because we did not acknowledge them as block elements because all these tags are inline elements. So I believe you know what to do. If I want the middle name to come down, if I want it to come down, if you don't want to wrap them in div, you just add what? Break. So after this, I will just add break here. That is if I want it to display that form. Then after here, I also add what? Break. Or better still, you wrap them in div. So which means there's another place where we need to. But uh, I'll prefer them the way it was so that we can be seeing everything at once. So that place again, I added break. Okay. So let's just work with it like this. So this is the, to an extent, we are already seeing a bit input of Bootstrap because the form itself has its own base what appearance. But we want to transform it better. That will now take us to Bootstrap form classes. So let me see if I can put them somewhere here. Bootstrap form. So we can start making our notes properly here. Classes, just like the way we have been going since. So we want to take those classes one after the other, right? So the first one we want to look at is .form control, form hyphen control. So these are the things you need to understand. So as soon as you are designing your form, you know where to assign these classes. You know the elements that are used to implement these classes. Don't forget that the classes are like buckets of CSS predefined. So once you call a class, it's as good as you have called all the properties that must have been programmed for it. So that is why you must know which of the elements you want to give certain appearance to before going into this. I hope we are still together. Is can you respond via the message section? Just write a message through the Zoom message if we are still following. Let me just get a response. Now, let's look at that definition like we have been doing. So what is form control in Bootstrap? Is a class. So I said what? The form, sorry, I hope you can still hear me. Please confirm. You should. Okay, so the form control, I said the form hyphen control class style form element. Such just to have an idea of what are the elements that this particular property or this particular class can be assigned to when you are designing form. All right. So the first one is text box. You know that we have, when we're designing the form, we have this input type. We have input type text, input type email, input type number, input type. Uh, we have so many of them like that. So I'm just recommending when you create an input, being one of the elements that is mostly used for form design, okay, you can assign a class form control. It's going to style it. So these are the recommended options. So another one is that where you have email field, you can give them what? This particular class. Then another one is a password field. So I will just mention a few of them. Password field. I just want to give us an idea of, okay, where can I use this particular class when then we'll have a test area. We all know test area, the one that are allowed to create a multi-line test. Then where you have dates, date picker, just like the one we just created now, that we allow the user to pick dates instead of manually typing the date. Okay, so these are some recommended elements where you can use this even number field, you can use it. Number field, you can use it. All right. So now let's look at it this way. Let's look at an example. So we just mentioned that where can I use the form control? Like I said, you can use it when you are creating inputs that we used to collect users' password, date, and order. So let's just try it here. So this is the form. So I'll add the class. I'll add the class to not the form itself, to the input, tag. So I'll just go there and say what? Class. Then I'll put that what? Form control. Now remember the appearance of this. So the moment I add this form control, let's go back to the front end and see the appearance. You see something happen. Adibin, you can hear me. I know you will have noticed it. You can see this particular field that we added that form control. You see the way it takes a different style. You can see it as if it has added that focus design. That is when you are on input, you see the design that came out. And then it has also added padding. You can see that the write-up are no longer too closer to what? To the border lines around it. And then you can see that it has automatically styled it 100% width. It has automatically styled it 100% width. But remember that we talk about Bootstrap width. Like I advised us then, most of these things that we are talking about, they are not actually limited to a particular tag, though we are learning them through a tag. But that does not mean that there are some of them that are flexible that you can use. For example, it's giving me 100% width. Now, since I understand how Bootstrap width, I can just come here and say what? W, let's say 25. And even you can hear me, I will have asked, because I know it's something that you know. But remember, you have to add it inside the class, not outside the class. That is, you space, and then you add that class. W what? 25. W25 or W50 is what? 50. This is 50%. So if you go back to the front end, you see that I've been able to what? To reduce the what? The width. Though we learned this width when we were dealing with element was that? Was it image? Yes, it was image. So you can see that I'm using it here now. So we need to understand some of these conventional properties or classes. So for the fact that you learn them through an image does not mean that they are only used for image. So long it matches another criteria, you can use it, because it means that this form control comes with 100% what? Width. What about if like I have it here now. I don't want the form to take the entire page width. I want to probably add some other content here. So somebody will be filling the form here, and then there are other activities what's showing here. So if you do not know how to reduce the width, then you'll be forced to use the entire space for the form. I hope that is clear to us. Okay, so now that is how we talk about all this. I can say, okay, I want it to be 75%. That is what with what 5. All right. So now that is the application of that. Now I can also come here. Remember, we said we can attach it to all the input. If I want all the input to have the same width, the same appearance, I'll simply just copy the whole of this class. I'll simply just copy the whole of this class the way it is. Control C, and then anywhere I have other input, I'll put it there. So what you will be doing is that at even that time that we're designing the form, once I activate an input, I will just call what? Class, put this. While you are designing, you just be substituting them. You don't have to wait until where you are through once you know them. Now I mentioned it can also be given to what date field. So I'll put it there. Which other one again? I think these are the main input. Label has its own. So let's check now. You see that we have a very good looking what form. It's just unfortunate that you are not hearing me, but sorry, I'm not hearing you, but I know you are following. So let's test the responsiveness because that is the main reason why we are substituting these classes. Let's say this is laptop view. On a mobile view, how will it become? How will this form display? So let's try it gradually. Let's try the breaking point. So you can see that nothing is cutting, everything is falling in place. That is actually the essence of what using the Bootstrap word classes on your phone. And remember, there is something that I explained to us that every element has its own base class. And it is in that base class that you have the uh, the property, the CSS property, which is called the media query, that is making it what responsive. So what is where do we have that responsive control now? It should be in form, not in
Form
W. That one
control.
is just to control the what? The width. All right? Okay.
Mm,
So
control.
we can go on and on. So I want to look at another class. So that is for what? Form control. Form control. I don't like teaching without getting feedback. I'm just struggling. So I'm not hearing from us. Okay, so the next one is let's look at the next one. I hope you are making your notes. We are still understanding form element bootstrap classes. We just concluded form control and how to use it. So we want to look at the next one, which is form. When you are writing, you write dot form hyphen label, form hyphen label. So this one is another class which is used when you are building bootstrap word form. So let's define it. Let's define it. So somebody should use the message tag to indicate if we are still following. I've not received any message yet, and I hope we are still following. So so this add professional. This add professional. This add professional styling. Professional styling to labels. So number one, it makes it number one, you have to understand what is label. You see, this is label. This is label. Now, if you go to the front end, label is, you can say this is label. Now, the work of this label is nothing but to help users to know what to impute here. The same thing with this label, to help them to know what to impute here. And then we created date picker. That is, they will just what click and then they will have access to the calendar, and then they will be able to pick their date. straight away before what clicking on what register. All right. So now we understand what is label. Now we want to enhance the appearance of this label. That's exactly what we are looking at now. So there is a property for that, or a class for that, which is the form label. Now let's try it. Let's add it to the label tag. So this is where we have the label tag. So I'll come after the last use attributes and then class, and then I'll just put what the form what uh, form hyphen what label. So just adding this, let's check it so that we see the difference between this and the ones. So you can see that it improved this one. It's a kind of reduce the size, and there is space between it. That's margin space. So let's add it to the rest and see what we have there. Let's add it to the rest. Check, I think got a message there. Okay, thank you. So let's also add this. So I don't need to waste my time. Just copy it from here. Anywhere you have label, you add it. So this is another label, space here, and what? Add it. This is another label, and add it. Okay, so let's go to the front end again and check. You can see that all of them, you can see there's not reasonable space, margin before and after. So if we also check the mobile view, to check your mobile view, just right click and select what inspect. So let me use this method this time around. And then you can select this devices what toggle. Just click here so that it will allow you to switch from one device to another. So on a device with 400 by 526, let's check other device. So for iPhone Pro, iPad Pro users, let's see how this form will display. Okay, so everything is responsive. Now on people using iPhone 14 Pro Max, this is, you can see nothing is cutting. So which means your form is actually what? Responsive. All right, so let's go back to proper view. All right, so now I hope we are still following. Let's go back to let's try other classes. So we have another class that is for form label. We have the third one, which is dot mb hyphen 3. So what is the role of this class? To define it briefly, you can say add. So this is used to add margin button, margin button. So it's used to add margin button, margin button, margin button, spacing, margin button spacing. That is what it is used for, margin button spacing. So let's quickly look at the application. Let's look at the application. Now, you know that ordinarily, let's say we have our form, we have them wrapped in div. We have them wrapped in div. Like I was explaining the other time, if we have wanted them to display what? Block. If we have wanted them to display block, then we will say, okay, we want margin space. Remember, margin space is when we see an element as a box model, which we have explained from the manual section. That is, we are acknowledged that whenever an element is declared, just like this form or input, they are in a box. And if we model them from that angle, it means that there are spaces that are created. When an element is in a box, there are two spaces that will be created. The first space is the space between the contents and the what? The border around it. The second space is the space between the whole of that element and other elements. And that is where we derive the margin space and the padding space from. The space inside between the box and the content inside the box is called padding, while the space between that entire element and another element from the outside, it is called margin space. So that you understand what we are saying. So for example, if I put, let's say I create another element here and I give it, and I'm wrapping it in div just to make it display what? Block. All right. Or I can just copy this one here, Control S, and then just bring it here and put it here, which means that automatically from our manual design, you know this already, which means that this is going to force this element to display what? Uh, to display block. So let's go to the front end and check. You're going to force it to display what? Block. Because I think the what is it called? Okay, did it even work here? What do I have here? This is div. Okay, this is the closing div. So let me remove this. Let me remove this. So which means that the whole of these are inside. So let's go back there and see any difference. So though the bootstrap the bootstrap class that we have added from control must have implemented this block display element, because you can see that all the items are already displaying what? Block. So now this is where I want to use this particular class. So I can come here and say class, because I'm talking about I want some space at the bottom. Let's say I have other input coming before it and I want some space between that, the first one and the second one from the bottom. So that is where I will add it. So I'm adding it to the container that is holding all the item I want to create space at the bottom. So here I will just say what? MB what? 3. Right? So if you go down, if you go there, what that will do, you can see what happened. This space here at the bottom, remember that this label and this, they are inside that div that I used, that MB uh MB what? 3. So let's try it on an input. Let's say I want to create some space between this input and this. So let's go there and use it directly on that. Let's go there and use it directly on that. So let's say I want to use it here. I want to use it here. I want some space here. Or let me put it here. Let me put it here. So MB3, just to create some space. So which one did I added it to? Let me be sure of the elements that I added it to. That is the same one. No, I shouldn't have put it the same place where we have created it. I want it to come here, the next label. Let it come here. MB3. So you can see that we now have margin space between this and this. So it's actually used to add margin. It's recommended you can use it on a name field, email field, password field, just to give you such a cleaner presentation. Then we have the next one. We have the next one. The next one, which should be the next one, which is number 4. Just want to make sure that I touch the major classes relating to form. So the next one is what we call as form.form hyphen test. Form hyphen test. So what is the role of this? This is used to display small helper text below below an input, below an input. So, uh, so what we are saying is that let's look at the application of this below an input. So let me add it to. So I'm going to add it to which of the div. I think what I'm going to do is let me, because I don't want us to, let's confirm them differently so that we understand it. I don't want whereby the ones we have applied, we seems as if they are giving us the same thing. That will make it unable for us to differentiate function of this one. So let's say I have a new form and inside it, I'm creating the input just to understand this. So I say input, input, input. So probably the input, we are going to give it a class. We'll give it a class, and the class is form control. Let's give it form control. Then under the input, I can just create a div just to display that helper text. Maybe why is it called helper? Because it's just like you are using it to explain what the user should do. Maybe you are using it to pass certain information like this input, it must be only email. Don't write any other, or it must be text. So that is the idea. So we are using this div to implement that. So in this div, that is where I'm going to use the class, because that is where that helper text is going to display. So I will just say form what text. So inside the div, what will I put there? So I'm using it to pass a message of how strong the password should be. So I can say password must contain, password must contain 8 characters. I'm just using this. So this is what we refer to as the helper text. Password must contain what? Let's say what? 8 characters. So let's go to the front end and check. So you can see how it formatted it and attach it to what? To that input. So whenever anybody trying to enter a password here, then that person needs to be guided with this. So when the password is not responding, he or she will know that. But remember that under the input type, we will have changed it to what? Password. These are some of the things we have discussed, so that when the person starts typing in, then the entry reward will show suppress. All right. So that is not one of the major form element or classes to be that form control is the major one, in fact. So every other one they are just to assist. Then we have the form check. We have the form, since is the only element we are focusing on in this class. Let me take my time to explain both the major ones and the minor ones. So the next one is form hyphen check. Form hyphen check. So it's also a class that can be used while designing your form. So what is the role of this? So this creates Bootstrap checkbox. This creates Bootstrap what? Checkboxes. So thank God that we have done the manual. You understand? Just adding this, what you are going to get. Bootstrap what? Checkboxes. And radio. And radio buttons. Radio buttons with proper spacing. With proper spacing. Right? So let's look at an example also. Let's say we have this. So I'm taking this off so that we can focus on what is generating as well. So let's say we have this, and Let me also give, anytime you are creating form now, assign class form control. That is the essence of what we are learning. You don't wait until where you are done design. You will now start coming back to plug in the Bootstrap classes. So as you are creating elements, you know the ones that are connected to it based on the appearance you want to achieve. Okay, so now let's say I have an input here also, and the input, that is where I'm going to put my class. The input class is what? Now, this input class, I will now put what? Form check, input, form check, input, form check, input, form check, input. So I can add input to it. But the main one we are looking at is what? Form check. So it can be form check, hyphen input, or what? Just form check. Now, the label, what should I give to the label? Yes, uh, we have already created for label, but do I need label here now? Let me see. Okay, no. Remember that the type, whenever we are creating checkbox, remember with this checkbox, for example, you want to present options, multiple options, and the user can choose as many as possible. That is when we use checkbox. Then we use radio where you are presenting multiple options, but the user can only pick one. I believe you still remember all that from the manual design section. So based on that, we need to update this particular word, a type, because this particular class that we added is just to enhance the appearance. So that does not dispute the using or the usage of the right type. So we have to change it to what? Checkbox. You still remember this. So because it must be an input, must be a checkbox before you can use this class to what? Style it. So if I go to the front end now, something is this could be a browser, just refresh whenever you have that issue, and then you can see it. Let's see, we have not added any description. We are supposed to add something here like, okay, what would be the option description? So let's say what education now level or qualification. So let's go back to the front end. We see a text attached to it. Good. You can see the way he style it, put it at the middle, and everything will be what? Responsive. So that is what we are saying. We can use that word form check. So where you are using checkboxes, input type, then you can use it alongside. I hope we are still together. You can use the comment section. Then the form check input is another one, but the one we use now, look at it. This one now, let me remove this and check again. You see the difference? You can see that this is no longer what? In alignment. So check, form check is one. And then if you add input, which is the one I want to define now, you see that, let's go back to the appearance and see, you see that what is more presentable. So there are two different options that will determine the display. Now, that is the one I want to explain. So let me just put it here. Let me just put it here. That should be number 6. So this one is just form hyphen check, form hyphen check, then hyphen input. So this particular one, just to define it, style the checkbox. Style the checkbox. or radio button also. So you can see both of them can actually style. You saw it now itself. So you can use, but you saw the display now where we use just a form check. You saw the display when we also use the other one. Now we have the we have another one. All these ones are minor one, but it's good if you have knowledge of them when you want to build a good user-friendly website. Now we have form. We have form hyphen check. We have form hyphen check hyphen label. So we have this one. What is it used for? So this also style the label. This also style the label. Am I writing it? Sorry. This also style the label. This is we are supposed to write it. Style the label attached to a checkbox or radio button or radio button. So this one is for label. So let me quickly create label tag and then add the class as well. Add the class and then the class is exactly what I have there, form check label. So let's go there and check what we have there. The label, I did not put any description. So let me go and put description so we can see it. So let's say label for full name. Let's say label for full name. So let's go back there and check. So you can see the way it arranged it. So remember that if I have input here, it will make more sense. So the only thing is for me to change this particular is to change this to can use it for radio. Remember that it's for both. You can use it for both radio and we all know radio. Radio is where you have a like I explained, where you want to select only one out of multiple options. All right. So these are some of the. Let me see if I still have another one that is necessary. You can actually. So we have. I think we need to talk about this one because most of our form we create select. So we have a form hyphen select. You know, when you are creating a drop down, for example, when you are creating a drop down like maybe a country you want your users to pick from your created country, you are going to use this one to because a different tag. So for example, we can just have the select. Let me just create it select tag as usual. You know, inside the select tag, we now use options. But it is this particular one that you add the Bootstrap word class. Call what? The form select. Form select. Form select. So let's have the definition. I think it's very simple. So the definition, for the sake of those that will write it, the definition of this class is used to style, used to style HTML drop down list. Simple as that. To style HTML what? Drop down list. So you add it to the select. Then of course you go in there and call your what options as usual. So let me just create two options. Let's just say I'm not after, since I'm not sending them to back end yet, so I need to can do away with what the value. So I create another option because it's these options that the particular class is going to what style. So let's say Ghana. Let's say we have US. So let's go to the front end and see what we have. So you can see the way it style it properly, even having a hover effect. Hover effect. You can see it. Right. So okay. So which other word again? Okay, that is okay. We have okay, let me just take one example of this. Number 9 is form is use the message section and communicate back if you are still following as well. Control LG. Now, from the Bootstrap grid system, I expected us to have understand what is going to happen here. That LG means what? Large device. So if we are to define it, we can say this creates what? Large input field. So here you are also capturing the device. So for example, which input do I add it? Okay, for example, let me take this out. Let me quickly create another input and the class. Let me add a class. Let me add a class form control. Form control. And then also add that particular class, which is form control LG. So now we'll add it again, control LG. So let's go to the front end and see. You can see that it's a big one. The input is so big, not small at all. Right? So we need to understand this. So we also have it just to use one stone to kill many birds. You can also change here only. So we have form control hyphen what SM. The way you can hear me, I will have asked you, I believe you still remember small device. So if you go there to give you a smaller one, you can see that it's smaller than what the one that was there. Then we can also have which one again? We have row, we have define. This one is when you have form. Okay, let me just add it. The time. Okay, we're rounding off. So I will have sent us to go and research on more, but since we are just focusing on it, let's just consider as many as possible. So we have dot row. We have dot row. And what do we achieve with dot row? Dot row creates a bootstrap grid. So we have already done that, but let's see how we can say create a bootstrap what grid row used to arrange form fields horizontally. So, when we are laying out our form, we can decide to have it in row. Let's say we want to wrap our form in a row. So the row is going to be represented with div. We've talked about this under grid system. So we can come here now and say, okay, dot. If I do dot row, remember I show us that will create a div and automatically give it a class what row. Now, if I expand this div, and I use it to arrange my form input. Maybe I have some input that I'm creating inside it. In other words, I can create a form and then wrap the input inside. Maybe I have this one, placeholder, let's say your name. And then probably I have another input. So whenever you are wrapping or you are arranging some form input in a row, you can use this. So now this is where you will now put what. So that will enable you to organize them better. You can see that it added some level of what style on it. Because ordinarily, if you check the input I created, I've not added form control, but they automatically stretch what 100%, which means that what this particular element or class is what organizing them. That is the note that I just gave to us. The same thing with columns. So we also have uh, column or call. That is column. So this creates equal width column. This creates equal width column. This creates what equal width column. So let's look at an example here. What example should I use? Okay, so let's say I have a div and the class of that div is row. That is the first one, because the first one that is holding all of them is row. Don't forget from our first class grid system. Then this is the first one that is holding all. So inside this, I can now create other columns. So and these columns are represented with div element also. So if I come here and give this one class, I give this one class and I say what call, and let's say I put welcome, we're rounding up, welcome to Digitech Zeal Hub. Welcome to Digitech Zeal Hub. So let me duplicate this, Control C, paste, paste, paste. All right. So for the fact that they are the same, I'm using call. That will make them to have equal width. You can see it now, equal width, the same width, and then that will also be responsive. Let's check it. Let's check it manually. Let's collapse more small. So you can see that what everything is what responsive. Everything is limited to the space allocated. So where it cannot find enough space, it will break into 2 lines or 3 lines. So that is for that. So we can now begin to say, okay, this call, I want to determine the division of it. So that is where you now come here and start adding a hyphen, whether it should divide it into 3 or into 4 or into 6, right? So these are the things you can now begin to do. So you can see that as soon as I did that now, a different calculation has been implemented. Go and watch the Bootstrap grid system. You will understand what just happened, right? Because if you look at it here, we just say this is telling me that you are not hearing. I cannot hear you. Now, what happens here is that you say 6 column. Now that 6 column does not mean that you need 6 column. Remember, under grid system, we said that your entire column can only be divided, your row or one column can only be divided into 12. And then when you say consist, what you are saying is that 12 divided by 6 will give you what? 2. So what happens here now is this, that instead of dividing it into what? 1, 2, 3, he took half of it and the remaining 3 took the remaining half, which means you have instructed that particular one that, hey, you have to take what? half of the entire screen. I know you understand what I'm saying. So I can come here now and change it to 3. So it will change. Let's go back. You see that what the space taken is now different. So we need to understand that 3 means uh it means the 3 means 12 divided by 3. What are you going to get? 4, 4, 4. And that is
4.
why you see that what it fall back to equivalent to what we are having there, because you have 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, and they all have what? Equal space. So that's why I took that space of 1 out of 4, and the remaining space still look at. That's why everything still falls in place. So that is how you can now continue. Now you can now begin to add color. If you want to add color, you are still going to use the concept of what? The BTN. The BTN. Any of the input tag you want to add color, maybe background color, you can still use this concept BTN, BTN, what? Danger or whatever. You can still go ahead and use all this. I'm talking about when you are working with an input. Let me just take one. So that's why I was telling us that all these things that you know, many of them, they are not actually restricted to a particular element. You can be flexible with them. What do I mean? I can come here now and create a form. Look at it here. But we land it under Bootstrap button. I can come here and create a form. All right. I can create a form and come here and say what? I can say uh, BTN space. Sorry, I have to add class. I can say class BTN, then space BTN. Let's say what? This or any other color. So you see that what? You have given what? That particular form, that color. So they are usable. I can come here and say, okay, let me add input. Let me add input to this and see what comes out. So if I go back, you see that what the entire form, I have automatically given it what? A background color using, so I can add another input. I can add another input. I'm just trying to play with this so that you understand that these things are possible. There are a lot of them that you have learned that you can borrow to style order. So instead of you saying background color and all that, then you can just depend on this. Now, there's another one again we learned. If I don't want to use this logic, I can still come and say what? BG what? Danger, which means that what? BG means what? Background color. So there are many ways, right? You can use that as well. So these are some of the Bootstrap classes that can be used to give a background color. All right, so this is where we stop. So you can go and work on the rest. We have red for danger, warning for yellow, BTN info for light blue, grayscale BTN secondary, BTN light for white color. So you can just go and understand order. Okay, so you will not be able to talk back to me. But let's say you want to use the message section. Any question? Let me get a response. Use the message section quickly. Any question? Any question? So this brings us to the end of considering the Bootstrap element design. So the next class we are going to start laying out our website. We'll start from navigation bar design, then go to cards, and then start using all these properties where we get to a page, maybe our contact page where we want to build a form, we use Bootstrap form. When we get to a page where we want to use table, we use Bootstrap table. In the process, we create a list element, we use the list, all those things. Where we get to a page where we need an image and we want to modify the image, we call back all the Bootstrap image classes we have learned. That is the essence of this. Okay, so we don't have question. Thank you for joining. So just in case you come across this video and you want us to train you as well live like this, which is equivalent to, which is even more more active than physical training or one-on-one training, because you stand the opportunity of revisiting the video and you can see the way we are able to share our screen with you. So you want to reach me directly, just WhatsApp me on uh, +23470 6966 5919. You want to also check us out on YouTube. We have about almost running to 500 master classes video there. It will be very resourceful to you. You can go there and check us out. Just check us on YouTube at Digitech Zeal Hub, Digitech Zeal Hub. You can as well recommend this platform to your friends. On this platform, we train on other programs, not just web development. We train on cybersecurity, data analytics, Python programming, and like I have told us before, those of us that have keys, on Saturday, our keys coding boot camp is going to start. People are already registering, and we are still getting more contacts. So our Zoom can actually take 100 keys per session, and we are considering running several sessions. And apart from the coding, they are learning Python, they are learning HTML and CSS. Adults can also join, but it should be adults that will be willing to learn with the children model. Then we have another children session that we are going to create, whether in the morning or in the evening. So this one is targeting not just the children. This one, for the kids are allowed to join, because we are going to use hybrid teaching methodology, which means our teaching will cut across format for children, format for adults. Now, what we try to achieve there is that session is actually for beginners, people who are opportune to learn advanced test skill without going through the foundation, without graduating from primary school of computer, and they find themselves learning maybe data analytics. There are some things that are missing in between. You have such people, please connect them to us. It's going to be a very impactful session. So we are going to take them from computer appreciation, starting with the definition of computer, take them through Microsoft window management, information management system, and file management system. We also expose them to Microsoft Office applications like Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, Microsoft PowerPoint, how to create. These are things and internet research technology. All these are packed in that section. Like I said, kids are allowed to join. Adults can as well join. Students must join that session because they are going to learn how to research in case they are given assignments that has to do with researching. And we shall be adding a touch of how they can also leverage on AI to for searching at their own level. And before the end of August or in between, we shall be announcing this platform will start taking AI automation. We all know that that is one of the areas that technology is going, AI automation. So you learn how to use different technology to build automation system. Like your WhatsApp, you can program an automation system that can respond, or to your email, even while you are busy, your AI will be responding to your customers and all of that. So that will be coming probably second week of August. So we are making arrangements to see how we can add that to this platform. So many other programs will be introduced in the month of August. Another aspect this platform will be going into is we want to go into, you have a school, you have a company, and you want us to empower your staff. We are available. starting from August, Digitech Hub will be will welcome such. So you have a school and you want to boost your your school with technology skills, you can reach out to us. The advert will still be out. I will still be out. And then once you get it, you know any school owner around you that actually want us to be coming in there maybe once in a week just to expose their children to technology that will benefit them in line with their studies. Digitech will be going into that as from August 2026. And then company, we want to also empower company staff. So you have your staff and you feel that they should have tech skill for more productivity for you. You can also book us. You can arrange us for 2 days, for 3 days, even for a week. We are ready to deliver both offline and online. So this is going to be one of our move. And even you have a church, you want us to come and empower your members with test skills. We are also available from the month of August 2026. So a whole lot will be uh, dish out from this platform. Thank you. See you next class. But make sure that you go through everything that we have discussed. And if possible, you can expand your research. All right. So see you in the next session where we shall be looking at how we can now design a professional responsive website using Bootstrap from the beginning to the end. So bye for now.
Bye, sir.